And so I got a story here. It was actually an article within one of the trade magazines for insurance sales. And Bo Eason is being interviewed. And Bo Eason was a former NFL quarterback for the Houston Oilers. Got hurt, dropped out of the NFL pretty early, didn't have a lot of accomplishments. If you're not familiar with who he is, doesn't surprise me. But the name of the article is telling. No story, no glory. It takes a tough guy to get tender with a personal story, and former NFL player Bo Eason is just the man to do it. But he goes on to say the greatest story never told for most advisors, for most real estate agents, for most business professionals is their own. We tend to take our stories for granted. I'm just Ryan. I mean, what really do I have to offer? I just grew up in this little town of Vancouver, Washington. It's not like it's New York or San Francisco. It's not San Diego. It rains here 9 months out of the year. I got a family just like everybody else. No brother, sister. Yeah, I got this little company. It's not, on the Inc. 500 list. It's not a Fortune 500. I'm not a CEO. And we tend to undercut ourselves. But it's the story that has always been used to lead nations, to move armies, to connect with others. Nothing is more powerful than story because it engages people. It brings them into a world that you can create. The other and the flip side of this is it's what people remember. And so there's a saying, I have it here. If you teach me something, I'll forget it in 24 hours. If you tell me a story, I'll hold you in my heart forever. So your authentic personal story, this is what makes people fall in love with you. And it drives me nuts that the Guru Party, that they don't preach this. So if I go to almost every real estate agent website right now and I go to the About Me link, Ryan Fletcher was a longtime Vancouver resident, grew up here, went to high school in Vancouver, blah, 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 blah. There's no story. There's no character development. There's no personal narrative. If I pulled that bio, could we create a movie around it? Could I write a screenplay with that character? The answer is no, I couldn't. And so one of the first things that you should always look at is when you go out into the marketplace, how are you being perceived? And you have the ability, if you think of yourself as a character that's going to be developed in your own screenplay, to script that movie. However it is that is going to be most magnetic to the people that you want to attract. And so in this article, Bo Eason, he goes, once Bo hooks you in, and this is the writer talking, once Bo hooks you in, he takes you on an emotional ride that ends with you running with him onto the field, under the roar of the crowd, ready for battle. You're there with him because it's how he tells his story. Again, it goes back to engaging people. Now, I've always said, I don't sell, I just tell stories. And so those closest to me, I repeat this all the time. I never sell. I just tell stories. I don't ever do one-to-one presentations. I just write something in story format. I put it out to the marketplace. They read it. And the response is, I hate this guy, which is fine, or I love this guy. I like how this guy thinks. He thinks like I think. He believes what I believe. He's overcome the same obstacle that I've overcome. He's faced the same challenge that I've faced. He's achieved what I want to achieve. And so about 4 years ago, and see, when I first got into copywriting, I would buy all sorts of products and services from people, and I would read the sales letter. Now, I don't give two shits about the sales letter. I just want to understand if I connect with the person. I don't care what is promised in the sales letter because I pretty much assume it's all bullshit. So I look down at the beliefs. Who is this person? Who is his authentic self? What are the stories that he tells? Don't promise me another 30 listings. I want to know who you are as a person. Don't promise me a 7-figure business with a 7th level team. Anybody can do that. Tell me what you believe. And that only happens through story. It goes on to say, out of the 7 billion people on this planet, the one thing that differentiates you is your story. And so when you start to think about this, and if you go back to the Protector video series, again, homeoftheprotector.com, you will find a number of these types of stories, which are called defining moments or turning point stories. And so most people, they'll have 10 or 20 or 30 experiences or stories within their life that have changed the course of their decision-making process. When I was offered the job, for example, as a junior copywriter to go study with the best copywriters in the world and work for Agora Inc., which, again, if you're not familiar with it, would be like the equivalent of Rolls-Royce in the newsletter publishing direct marketing world, I had a decision to make. Move 3,000 miles away, leave everything I've ever known, my family, my wife. Now, my wife was going to move down 6 months later. She was a teacher at the time. She was going to finish out the school year. But I had to gamble. I had a choice. Because the pay down there was a pittance, barely livable. But I chose to move 3,000 miles away. If I didn't make that choice and I didn't move, what would have happened? I don't know. Okay, but it's a turning point. It's a defining moment. And everybody has those in their life. Again, we tend to take them for granted. But it's those types of moments, and when you capture that in a story, that builds relationships. And so everybody, the guru party, they preach, this is a relationship business. This is a relationship business. And then they tell you to send out a one-size-fits-all newsletter. It's not relationship building. There's no story in there that is unique and personal to you that builds your character. How is 9 ways to winterize my pipes possibly going to connect and resonate with my reader? Just because you, quote unquote, touch them, you're not building a relationship. My in-law every once in a while comes over and he's here and I wish he would go home. Same exact thing happens with a one-size-fits-all newsletter. Why is he sending me this shit? Okay, how about a recipe card? How about a fridge magnet? Oh, we'll build a relationship. We'll send him more of it. 33 of these worthless, useless, quote-unquote, touches. No. Okay, when people talk about relationship, here's what a relationship is. You have to extrapolate it backwards so that you can get to the core of engineering it. A relationship is nothing more than a series of connections. A connection is nothing more than an experience or a belief that you share with someone. And the way that you convey this experience, the emotion, the drama, how you would react, how you responded, how you felt, how you thought, or this belief about something. Maybe it's about politics and you have a particular stance. I hate Barack Obama. See, when I say that statement, there are people on this podcast go, fuck, I'm right there with you. I hate that guy too. Can't stand to look at him. That's a belief. Sometimes it doesn't need to be any more than that, a simple sentence. But more times than not, it's a story. How did you stumble upon this belief? How did you come to believe what you believe? Or this experience? How did going through this experience change your thought process to lead to the belief that you now have? And the more of these stories you tell, the more of these beliefs and experiences you convey, the more connections that you make, the stronger the relationship you foster. And so one of these turning point stories that Bo talks about in this article, I decided at the age of 9 that I was never going to happen to me again. And now what he was talking about is when he was 9, he was cut from his Little League baseball team. I didn't even know you could be cut from a Little League baseball team. In today's day and age, not only do you not get cut, but everybody gets a trophy, and there is no such thing as failure or losing because they don't keep score. But apparently when Bo Eason, he's 53 now, was growing up, back when People were a bit tougher. Not everybody was seen as a little mush cookie. They cut the little leaguers. And so he got cut, and he goes, that day I decided at the age of 9 that was never going to happen to me ever again. No one was ever going to cut me from any team or anything else I'd ever given. That was more than 40 years ago, and my life is based on that painful moment still today. Okay? I played professional football. I played college football. I played high school football. I played in grammar school. I would not let them cut me because of the pain of experience when I was 9. See, when you tell that story, it conveys where he gets his work ethic. He's going to go the extra mile. He's not going to quit. He's going to sacrifice. Because he decided when he was 9 years old that he was never again going to experience this pain. Okay, Michael Jordan, you often hear this. He always talks about the story of when he got cut from his high school basketball team twice. See, pain is one of those universal things that people can connect with. Okay, and it's about the journey. It's not about the punchline. And so he's talking in this article, if I climbed Mount Everest, I wouldn't start there. Hey, I climbed Mount Everest. No. I would start the story at the bottom of the mountain. Why did you even want to climb Mount Everest? What's the story behind that? When you got to base camp, what was that like? When you got 2/3 way up the mountain, your fingers started to turn black. Did you quit? You're 100 feet from the summit. You can barely breathe. Your legs weigh 3,000 pounds. You know you could die. Do you turn back? Did the Sherpa have to carry you? You made it to the summit. What was that like? What did you learn from that experience that you apply to your clients and their success? Okay, it's the journey. It's not the punchline. You always want to figure out a way to bring these people on a journey with you.